This is the video review for Transformers Generations War for Cybertron Bumblebee. This figure, I like it and I don't like it. I like it because, in theory, it's a great figure. I don't like it in that he has a lot of joints, and the plastic is soft enough that they're starting to get loose. Like, especially, see that foot? Just shakes loose. Well, that foot actually doesn't matter that much because it's on the ball joint just so we can get out of the way in transformation, and then we standing it. It's pushed up into that wheel. It still bugs me because especially his legs, which are for the most part just hinges, are getting kind of loose, and because there's so many joints so close together in there, it's not really feasible to use superglue because then you won't be able to get the leverage on the joint you need and you'll fuse it, or you'll get glue somewhere else, and it's a figure that's hard to maintain. Now, just on the design of the figure itself, plastic aside, it really is quite nice, although a little bit odd at first because he looks sort of clownish, especially with his lockdown hands. But what I found is that this figure actually is quite characterful, and in that way has a lot of charm. Especially since his head is on such a nice ball joint. And of course, I'm not quite going to be able to convey exactly what I'm seeing here because the camera's at a different angle, so how it looks good to me will look a little bit... You won't see exactly the details you can see, but it poses very nicely, and I don't know, it's a nice figure in concept and in execution, just not in plastic. So this guy's articulation is pretty nice. He has a ball-jointed head. He has ball-jointed shoulders, which they're at a slight angle, and you have to watch out for this backpack because they'll bump into it. But for the most part, his arms are pretty free. He has rotation above the elbow, and he has 90 degrees at the elbow. His wrist can swivel, and these blades here can go in and out. He has a waist swivel, and that's slightly limited. Then he has forward, back, out. He has a joint that moves down here. That's one of the joints I was talking about. That's annoying. He has a knee that will get you just barely under 90, like 89 degrees. And then he has a swivel above the knee. And then while his feet are ball jointed here, that's just so that they can move for transformation. They don't actually pose. But they're straight enough that it's not that much of an issue. Although actually, looking on the side here, I can see some marks. It kind of looks like I may have cut away some bits on his feet that may have kept him from bouncing properly. I'm not actually quite sure about that. It's been a while since I got this guy. Okay, overall, just a very nice robot mode. He does have a bit of a gap in here, but from the front and the back, you don't notice it, and it's not too bad. It's just sort of there. Now, to transform this guy, I've heard a lot of people having trouble transforming this guy, and I've never quite understood why. I mean, I get that it's a somewhat troublesome transformation the first couple of times, but if you just pay attention and see how the parts go together, it's actually not that bad. So to begin, unpeg these from here and bring them around, and then fold the foot under here so it, the hollow part of the foot in here goes along this hinge. Pull this wheel out, and then slide up the lower leg until it clicks into place. And I think that transformation just right there is genius. And it's part of the reason why I really like this figure's design. Just how the wheel down here solidifies everything, then when it's out of the way, it slides in super easily. I think that's just genius. Although these leg pieces here will get in the way a little bit. Get this out of the way. Let's see, it slides down. It's on the slider joint here. And then once when you slide up the slider, there are tabs in here that go into 2 little slots on here that keep this from moving like this. So once you slide that down, this will rotate freely out of the way. Bend the knees outward, kind of like this, and that will get the legs how they need to be for robot mode. Next, what you will do is you will take this headpiece and you will rotate it around. It's a little bit of a tight fit getting the head through there, and then that will fold flush. Then you want to make sure the head is as far back as possible, or else it'll interfere with everything else. And then you will fold the swords up. You will bring the arms back. And what you want to do is when you fold these arms in, you want to make sure that this little hole right here is facing down. And then you want to rotate these arms in, and these tabs on the forearm will go right into the tab in there. And then that will keep everything aligned so that you can bring these forward and tab them into the front of the chest right there. So bring the arms back, make sure this little hole right here is facing down, rotate it so this is also facing down, and then bend his elbow so that those two parts meet. And that'll make sure everything stays aligned in the arms. And then when you bring this forward and tab it into the chest, that will sort of force everything in there how it needs to be, and it'll make sure it stays out of the way of everything else. Next thing you want to do is you want to take the legs, bend them back, and then just sort of force them around some of the tabs in here. It's a little bit of a tight fit. Yeah, tab there. Tab there. Tab there. Just make sure you, like there's a tab right here, a tiny tab, make sure the lower leg tabs over it. Then there's a tab right here, make sure it tabs into that. And then for the most part, that's arms and legs how they need to be. It's already rolling pretty nicely. All we have to do is get this piece over it. So rotate this over, and then press in up here. There's a little hinge piece that both of these things are on. Press it down, and that'll sort of start to get things how they need to go. And then just start collapsing it down and pushing it in. And then on the other side of these legs here, there are tabs. Like you can tabs right here, and those will tab into holes in there. And that's really what makes this alt mode solid, getting those tabs into those holes. And that can be a little bit troublesome at first, but once you feel some resistance, you'll know that's where it needs to be. Then all that's left is pushing everything together. And that's not hard at all, just pushing it together. And then you have a very, very sleek and very, very nice Cybertronian mode. That's very, what I like about this is that it's very convex. It has a little bit of concavity to it, but it's basically just a bubble car. And it's a very nice one at that. So while the transformation isn't hard, you do need to spend some time to make sure things are aligned, and I've told you the rules of thumbs that you need to know to transform this figure. And I highly recommend this figure. It's just, like I said, it has the problem of it's hard to maintain, because when the part starts to get loose, it's in some ways not very feasible to tighten it just because of all the risk in it. I remember I almost bricked one of the inward knee joint doing that. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the figure. It's very nice. I love the vehicle mode, especially since, despite the complex transformation, it's very easy to get balance on all 4 wheels. There's none of that wibbly-wobbly stuff, aside from just the actual variance in the wheels there. All the wheels lay flat, and they don't bounce on the ground. And yeah, it's a very nice figure. Those are my thoughts. Thank you for watching.